If I had to buy it for 80, 90, 100 grand, put another 50 into it to try and make 50, that's about 30 something percent return. If I put in 50 to try and make 50, even though I promised to give them 10 of the 50, I put in 50 to make 40. That's an 80% return on my money without even having to buy the house.
Another thing you taught that I think is interesting because, after the last, I've been investing for like 15, 16 years. I've seen the strategies change, they go away, and then they come back, and then they change and they go away and they come back. And the multiple offer strategy is something that I think is very smart, especially right now when people are in a little bit of a mix of a situation of a seller's market and a buyer's market. It's kind of an interesting time, but I think that that's a great thing that I don't hear enough about that you were still implementing with your students.
Yeah, you mean just like different ways to skin the cat and do the deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I taught you just in the Seller Waltz, we market people's homes for free. That's a value to a homeowner, whether we buy their house or not, right? That's one technique where we make money out of thin air. Some of the other things that we do in the Seller Waltz, we tell them, like I'll just go into a partnership technique, right? It's just one of the 10 techniques that we teach. And by the way, when we're talking to a homeowner about finding a way to be a solution in these different techniques that you kind of alluded to, and I'm going to teach everybody here one of them. What I want you to understand is this: the way that we deliver it to a homeowner, there's several different ways you can say the same thing, right? The way that we say it, that's why we call it somebody else coined the phrase the Seller Waltz. Like, dude, this is the most polite waltz I've ever heard in my life. So I said, okay, yeah, Seller Waltz. Meaning this. You could say, hey, let's partner on this deal, or hey, do some owner financing. Have you ever heard of subject to, and all these different things that you could say and do, right? But there's an eloquent way to deliver it. So in the Seller Waltz, one of the things that we do, it's one of my favorite techniques to figure out how motivated they are and if there's a different way that they want to work with us to do a deal, is I'll just talk about deal partnering. So we tell them, hey, look, you're at 100, we're closer to 80. I'm going to talk to my boss. I'm not sure where he's going to end up at. I think we'll be at 80. So another way that we could potentially work together, and my boss might give you the 100 that you're looking for. Now I'm going right back up to what they want, which is really hard to turn down, right? It's a technique, right? I say is that we could partner together. And they're like, so I'm willing to bet that my boss might go ahead and do the 100 grand that you want if we partner together on it. And they're like, oh, well, okay, well, if you're interested, well, I might be interested. What does that mean? Well, what we would do is this: look, I don't think that I would be here if you had the roughly 50 grand that I think it might take to fix this house up and sell it retail. Otherwise, if you had, I'm sure I wouldn't be here. And they're like, yeah. So we may be willing to partner with you and come in with the money to fix it. Okay. Meaning we'll write a contract to buy it and you get the first 100 grand, just like you wanted. We'll come in with 50 grand to fix it, to try and sell it for 200 grand. So you get 100, we put 50, 150 to sell it for 200 grand, potentially make 50 grand. My boss might even be willing to give you 20% of the profitability on the back end. You get your 100, we get our 50 back. And out of that 50 grand profit, you get another 20%. That's 10 grand. So I know you said you wanted 100, but if we could put together a situation where you end up with 110, is that something you might be interested in? Well, they just told me they wanted 100. That's really hard to say no to. And so just for fun, for everybody listening here, I'll teach you, like I'll pull back the curtain, like this is the level we go to on each piece that we teach, including the negotiation side. So a lot of people are like, wow, you're right. That might get me some more deals, but how would I structure it? So here's what you would say to a homeowner when they say that they're interested, because they're going to say, well, how would that work? Right? What you tell them is this: you say, well, we would come in, put the money in to fix it up, and then we put it on the market and sell it. And we sign an agreement. Like we said, you get the first 100, and we'll even sign an agreement that says you get 20% of the profit. And they're like, okay, but how would that work? We're like, well, we would come in with the money to fix it. And then what we'd probably do, since we're going to put a bunch of money into the house, is that we'll probably go on title with you to protect our interest, putting the money in the house to fix it up, to sell it retail. Now, 99% of homeowners, as soon as you say you're going to go on title together, Nick, you know what they're going to do.
They're going to back off. Yep.
What? Are you kidding? What? And they're going to freak out, right? I'm interested, but I don't want you to go on title with me. And why? They don't even know why they say that. It's because throughout their entire life, little elves in their ear and their grandma and their grandpa, like, don't ever let anybody go on title with you. And so they have that initial reaction like, well, I'd be interested, but I don't want you on title with me. Perfect. Because I don't want to be on title with them. Because if I'm on title with them, I have to agree with them. I'll say, hey, look, I'll talk to my boss. I'm sure we can find a way to make sure that and I tell them, I go, well, look, you understand, like if I come in with 50 grand to fix it and then you say, thanks a lot, I think I'm going to keep it. You understand I'm fired, right? You understand I'm homeless. I might even ask you if I can rent one of your rooms. And they laugh and they're like, yeah, well, I don't want you on title. I'm like, here, I'll talk to my boss. I'm sure that I'll talk to them. There's different things that they do and see what we can figure out. And I tell them, I go, at the very least, what we could do is just put a lien on title for the money that we put into it that needs to be paid off. So you're on title, we're not. It's just a lien that needs to be paid just like anybody, just like if you got a renovation loan, right? Oh, okay, well that sounds perfect. You know why? I didn't want to be on title with you because then I have to agree. It's like we're married, right? And so when I put a lien on title that needs to be paid off, I'm going to make that lien come due, Nick, in 4 months. If they get squirrely with me whatsoever, I'll be like, my lien's due, paid off. Otherwise, I can take the house. Now, I've never had to do that, but do you see how structuring the deal a better way gives me a higher level of protection on my end? And here's the fun part about this. Let's tie a bow on this from a negotiation standpoint. If I had to buy it for 80, 90, 100 grand, put another 50 into it to try and make 50, that's about 30-something% return. If I put in 50 to try and make 50, even though I promised to give them 10 of the 50, I put in 50 to make 40. That's an 80% return on my money without even having to buy the house. When I don't have to buy the house, then I save money on title, insurance, all these other things. So that difference in price that we were going back and forth on starts to shrink anyways.